chat from anywhere.
And how's your trip back, Sarah?
Oh, very sabai, thank you. Everything fine. I had a good rest coming back to Sydney, and everything's fine. Jonathan met me at the airport, and I went straight to have a swim in the ocean. Everything fine.
How's Jonathan?
Jonathan's very well. We have a hospital visit this afternoon, but everything's fine so far. So we will know more after that.
Now he has the helper.
He has the assistant, yes. Actually, he had his helper in while I was in Bangkok and Hong Kong, but now he has the helper at home.
That's wonderful that you were able to do that. You be in Bangkok and Jonathan surviving well there, I hope. It's always looked like it when you've been on the Zooms.
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Good.
You'll be in the mind at this stage. And on the screen, on the
Right.
image,
Good.
on the imaging.
Yeah, yes, right. Yes, I know. That's how these things, yeah. That's how they appear.
And when there's no thought about it, nothing there as pain or disease.
That's right, Ajahn. A lot of the time I'm not thinking about it at all. So just life as normal.
That's
especially
great.
during the Dhamma discussions.
The discussions were so wonderful. Really, really, really good.
And also the best medicine for kilesa to be cured too. At that moment, there is no anger or attachment.
Yeah.
That's why the best moment in life is understanding the very subtle. All dhammas are so subtle because it's there now, but they do not appear as we are talking about them at all. No matter the visible object or that which sees it, anything. That's why no matter how much we learned to understand the truth, it's so very gradually developed, unknown. Just talking about little by little, it's not the time to talk about other things. And that is the only way to begin to develop and have more and more confidence of that. It's just as we have heard, like no one there, see? But it's a reminder, when will be like that moment? No one there. That's why the truth is so true that it has to be there. That's why it has to take quite a long time to gradually wearing away the idea of something at any moment of seeing, hearing, thinking. That's the truth is that no one at all, no matter what appears, no things, not anything at all. There is only one way, just the moment of being aware, even beginning to attend to the characteristic right now. For example, that which experiences see. But the moment of hearing again and again and again, it develops gradually, like how Ian's people develop understanding to realize the truth when there's right time, right condition. The truth has to be so true that when it appears, it has to appear as we have heard, as we have studied. Gradually, naturally, no matter what, it has to be known in daily life. Otherwise, there must be doubt and attachment to it by different conditions. So many chittas and cetasikas now we learn to understand the truth, and right understanding works its way very gradually to just wearing away the idea of self and ignorance of that which is taken for people and things and the world all the time. Just having the understanding of the subtlety of all dharmas, because they are there now, but they are not known one by one yet. That's why we can keep on talking about it. We have more understanding of it little by little.
After my swim this morning, I had an interesting chat with a friend, and he knows about our situation because we've come back much sooner than planned. And he was asking me about how all the Dhamma studies and Buddhism, how it helps us cope or manage with the situation. And I was talking about this moment and what life is at this moment, and how we think there's an I that is in control, but actually just different moments of seeing and hearing and thinking which are conditioned. And his response was, well, it's true, a lot of things in life are not in our control, so it's good to appreciate that, but still things need to be done. You need to go to see the doctor, you need to arrange this and that. So of course this is just conventional understanding. And so I was saying, well, actually, even now, even the seeing now, or the thinking, or the planning now is actually not in anyone's control. But life goes on as normal. We still go to visit the doctor. We still make our arrangements, but there can be more and more understanding. It's still just this moment. And he said, well, what about the future? And I was saying, even when thinking of the future, it's still just now. Anyway, it was good to have a little Dhamma discussion at 6, just after, actually 7 o'clock after the swim, but very difficult for people to appreciate the difference between conventional understanding and this moment. But little by little, when there are opportunities. And then he was saying, what were you doing during your discussions in Thailand? Does Ajahn Suchin, does she start with a meditation? Does the meditation help you now? And so we talked a little bit about the value of discussing and considering about life rather than thinking of something special that has to be done. But anyway, I appreciated his interest and the opportunity to chat more just from asking about Jonathan's condition. It can lead to a little Dhamma discussion about life now. Morning, Maeve. Good to see you here. We can't hear you, Maeve.
I know. Yes. Actually, just recently, I'm surprised when I connect and I'm surprised when I don't. So always the unexpected, I think. And Sarah, I'm sorry, I missed what you were saying about Jonathan. Was it an update about Jonathan's health?
No, it was just, I was just mentioned that I just got back to Sydney and I had a swim, and afterwards I had a Dhamma chat with a friend. He actually was, asking after Jonathan, and it came down to discussing about life now and this moment. The question was how the study of Buddhism or the understanding of Buddhism helps now when, conventionally speaking, situations are difficult. So actually, and I mentioned, well, now we think there's an I that's in control, but there are just these moments of seeing and thinking, and actually there's no control at any moment, however life goes. And it is the understanding that helps rather than any idea of doing something. So it was a good opportunity.
It can be, because it's often that situations where maybe something comes up that wasn't expected, or the nature of it wasn't expected, and it's like we're prepared for certain things, and the access to the Dhamma is, as you say, very, very useful. But there can be some situations where it's not, the conditions just don't seem to be there for that remembering of the Dhamma to really be the support that maybe we hope for, or we know how valuable the support can be, but it seems that maybe I suppose it's the strength of the understanding, the degree of the understanding is just not equal to what presents itself.
And even now, just remembering that actually it's just the thinking that is a problem. If there's no thinking about the situation or the problem, there, it's just an idea, actually. Life is just in a moment now. And I think confidence grows so that there's firmer appreciation that all the problems are just in the thinking at this very moment.
Mm-hmm. And even that, it can't be relied upon in terms of, oh, that will always be there. It just depends, doesn't it? It
depends. And of course, attachment is so strong. The different kilesa are so strong. So it depends on the moment. I mean, I'm very fortunate because I've just had a couple of weeks of action-packed Dhamma and non-stop reminders and non-stop kindness and care. So
immersion, yes.
total immersion in the Dhamma.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And life, as Jonathan said, life just carries on as normal. We think it's this situation or that, but actually life goes on, seeing, hearing, thinking, and when there's helping others or moments of understanding, no thought about oneself at those times. So it's actually just when one's lost in the story of me or my situation, there's any problem. But like you say, it's bound to be like that. That's daily life too.
Sarah, you know how often we think and say this, that there's just a constant rising and falling of different moments, and none is more significant than another. I've actually been wondering about that, because at the same time we talk about a precious moment of understanding, and so that would seem to suggest that there are moments which actually are more significant than others, and karmically there can be a moment which changes the course. I know I'm sort of going from realities into conventional thinking, but that sort of that whether the trend of a person's life can be changed by a particular decision, and there's a sort of a momentary element to that. How do you think we can consider whether certain moments are more significant than others?
I think it's a very good topic. Like you say, of course, the moments of understanding are very precious because they accumulate and lead to more understanding. But in the deepest sense, even those moments of understanding are impermanent and dukkha, unsatisfactory, because they fall away instantly and are not worth grasping at all because they're gone, they're all gone. And the same with the strong anger, for example, that can condition bad deeds, even though it is strong akusala that can lead to harmful deeds. But even in the deepest sense, that anger is not my anger. It's a Dhamma that is conditioned and falls away instantly and is unsatisfactory. No use in clinging to the story about my dosa that happened this morning because it's all gone. So I think in the deepest sense, when we're talking about the first noble truth, whatever arises is dukkha, whatever arises is insignificant and gone. But that doesn't mean that the understanding when it arises is not very precious, as you say, and to be accumulated. But it's not my understanding, and it's just for a moment and then gone. Otherwise, there's bound to be clinging and wishing for more. So I think the point of considering the Dhammas as impermanent, unsatisfactory, and insignificant is for a little more detachment, a little letting go of the idea of I. But let's let Ajahn add more to the points.
And yes, and before Ajahn comes in, I'll just briefly make a comment, Maeve, that when we say no moment is more significant than any other moment, we're referring to as object of understanding, specifically. Right. So now over to Ajahn.
And
It's the moment of understanding that actually what is there now, not precious.
Yes, absolutely.
So what is more precious than understanding the truth, which hasn't been understood before at all? Just live with the idea of self and ignorance of what is there as it really is. But now the understanding of the truth just begin to understand the absolute truth, that even it's there now appearing, it's not as it is. Beginning to understand the truth on and on and on, to have firm confidence until there can be more understanding of each one, little by little, just to have understanding that it cannot be taken for anything at all. And it depends on conditions too, whatever is there. But the understanding of what is there is just a reality, can begin to understand the truth by another's, not know what would be that moment right now. See, the worth of understanding what is there, building up little by little, better and better, to have more confidence, not to forget it. That's why life goes on as usual. When you meet someone and you talk about the truth little by little, it's that It is a moment of metta developing too, together with understand the truth of what is there. That's why it can condition other kind of kusala, like if someone is interested in understanding the truth of this moment, we can talk about it little by little and share the understanding of whatever is there to be known, whether now is there hearing, is there always hearing, and what after hearing and before hearing, it can condition a little interest for anyone who hear it, depending on the one who hears it has accumulation to be interested, even just it's not known before. That's why we are talking about that, which is so true, is so worthy to hear, to consider the truth. Otherwise, what about just live without no understanding of each moment when it's so pleasant, also unpleasant, and so on in life? But that can be known little by little, better than none. Better than none. That's why those people who listened to the truth in the time of Buddha or any time can see the certainty of the development of understanding, to begin to understand that life is this moment. No one can do anything because it has conditioned already and actually is gone. Have confidence of the truth, and life will change by conditions in a day. At moment helping the other as usual in a day, it begins to understand the worthy of helping that is better than just ignore and so on. Little by little, it develops because of understanding the truth gradually, depending on how much understanding is there, even right now. No need, no wanting to measure it, but the understanding of what is there begins to attain little by little, only when there are conditions for that moment. That's all. That is the understanding of the patient parami and virya parami, even right now. Is there no metta? There is talking about the truth to this and whatever one is doing for the benefit of understanding the truth, which is the best of all conditioned Dhamma. By conditions, understanding what is wholesome and what is not wholesome at that moment, it develops the parami in order to see the benefit of understanding the truth, that it conditions the moments of kusala rather than moment of akusala, little by little, secretly, unknowingly. That's why just understand what is there, that's all. And understanding arises and falls away and develops in its own way. So natural.
Mhm. And it does seem that so much of the time we are just what's the word? We're kind of driven away from the present moment by, strong reactions, forgetfulness. So, there's so many conditions that can actually make the present moment not seem important, and that's the truth that somehow has to be recalled and returned to again and again. But certainly, as we are learning to understand, there's a lot of competition for being in the present moment. A lot to take us away.
So, right understand the truth.
Yes.
Of understanding, from understanding the truth, little by little. So any moment there can be a little more understanding in words or in thought about what is there, little by little to understand it. It's not the moment of being aware. But no one, even now, at moment of right understanding at any level, it is the development of understanding. And Kusala Dhammas are the kindness, friendliness, and so on, developing until it appears as it is, little by little. Otherwise, even those moments of question or answers must be I, as long as the I of the five khandhas is still there, until it's less and less, days and days, eons and eons, so the truth can appear at that moment. Appreciate the understanding of parami. They are developed now, little by little. Satya Barami, being truthful to the truth. Now what is seen appears as something, because the succession of the arising and falling away begin to understand a little more, just like as we have heard, but it develops gradually, so gradually. So no thought about when will it appear as just one reality at a time. The distinction between each reality, that which thinking, that which is attachment, whatever is there now, can be known not by ignorance, only the understanding, letting go, ignorance and attachment gradually. That's why we can have more time to develop the understanding, listening, talking, reading, considering all are dhammas before they can be known as they are one by one. One by one, this is the reminder how much understanding of the absolute truth of what is now appearing. But the truth is that when there is the understanding of a reality at moment of direct understanding, it's different from what we are just talking about. Hardness or seeing or hearing. That's why right understanding is so very truthful to the truth. And without that, it's impossible to let go the very enormous ignorance, unexpected how much it is. From day to day, from moment to moment. That's why it takes courage and patience and virya to listen again. And now, no one there. All cetasikas and citta are developing by themselves. So the moment of have more metta because of understanding, no one there at all. And what conditions such different thought, different status, different situation, or by conditions, which appears now. But what about previous and far away moment, years and years ago, and in the future, years and years ahead? That's why it can be the moment of being kind and friendly and helping and nice word or deeds for everyone. Gradually, like today, like yesterday, and like what will be tomorrow. That is the understanding, little by little, naturally. That's why now be truthful. That the truth is that whatever appears as one reality, it has to be through mind of. Why? Because now many moments, many processes mind of, then just sense of. Even one sense of followed by many processes of mind. See, just understand the truth that is so subtle, but it can be a moment of realizing the truth, because the teachings of the enlightened one just talk about or thought about the path, the very subtle path is right now. The moment of understanding the truth is the most precious moment, because without just one moment of understanding what is there now, nothing can develop to the degree that it can realize the truth little by little, from hearing, considering, having more confidence. And at that moment, it let go wrong understanding at level of just intellectual understanding. So now even we use the word anatta, arising and falling away, anicca, dukkha, anatta. But the truth is that what appears now is not just what we say. That's why learn to understand that the truth is at moment of beginning to have such a jnana of the intellectual understanding. In order to condition moment of kitta jnana, see, there cannot be the understanding of any reality at all without the satipatthana. So without understanding what is sati, is not now, which experiences the object, but when sati is there, attachment is there, aversion is there, it is known, but not as just realities. They are known as, at that moment, I am, I have, and such and such. That's why be truthful to the truth gradually until it let go a little more, a little more. And when direct understanding is that of a reality, no doubt about why there are so many degrees of understanding, stage by stage. If there's no hearing, understanding at all, how can there be the understanding of the object? Because it's not just now it's hard. That is not right understanding, because it's hard, something is hard. But in truth, what is meant by it's hard, there can be it's hard without understanding and with understanding. Gradually, little by little, understand the moment of direct understanding, but it's so very little because it just begins the kitta jnana. But no doubt about what moment is direct awareness and what moment is just intellectual understanding, developing to the degree that it can condition moment of direct awareness of what is said, to attain to the reality which is seen as is not flower or is not anything. When it appears, it's so true that it's just that which is seen, no thing in it at all. And the reality which experiences it. If we don't talk about it on and on, again and again, how can there be conditions to begin to attain? Any moment by condition, at moment of hardness appearing, is that a reality which experiences that hardness. That's why even the intellectual understanding has to be so skillful, so sharp to understand whether it is what level of understanding or just thinking and the difference between moment of thinking and seeing. Otherwise, how can it appear to right understanding that it is as it is that we have learned? Now it's time of the development of understanding. Is it precious?
Look, yes. Ajahn, I sometimes think that you seem to be making a distinction between intellectual understanding and thinking. Is there? I mean, you've just mentioned how subtle and refined the thinking is in relation to intellectual understanding. So it seems like it's not, even though it's not pati-pati, it's still, there's still something that sets the intellectual understanding that we refer to in relation to Dhamma, that it sets it apart from the kind of thinking about conventional life, for example. Could you say a little bit about that, please, Ajahn?
Where some people, someone listening to the words of truth, they thought that they have enlightened because hearing or sound is there from nothing and then gone. They think that that is a kind of vipassana. That's why we learn to understand the difference between stages of skillful intellectual understanding or only just intellectual understanding, not skillful enough to understand it is so very precious, because without it, how can there be keen, clear, little by little of what is there? Even it does not appear, it's just behind the curtain, but there can be the understanding what is there at this moment, one by one, to make it open, to open the curtain, see? Not at will, but by understanding little by little can open up the hidden truth, little by little. What about if someone thinks that, oh, now something happened, it's so anicca, arises and falls away? How can we help that person to know that it's not true? Because no understanding of anything at all before, stage by stage. That's why when we talk about the Four Noble Truths, we can talk about what is there and begin to understand it's not permanent, but the permanent impermanency of that which arises and falls away does not appear at all. Only the idea, the understanding. That's why someone thinks that at moment of hearing about anatta, it is the understanding of anatta. Impossible, because it's only the word to understand the truth. But the anatta-ness of that which is now appearing does not appear to be known. That's why it has to be careful, studying, understanding each reality at level of pariyatti, or now what is there is not permanent, to be object of considering whether that word is true or not. It's not true, but when there is a little more careful considering, it can be beginning to understand that whatever is there, just so very short, in truth. So now the understanding the word anicca is not moment of experiencing it while it's there arising and falling away, and can be known by way of nimitta only, but nimitta of a characteristic of a reality, different from nimitta of shape and form taken for something, the world, the car, the houses, and so on. That's why 3 rounds of the Four Noble Truths has to be clearly understood, little by little, until it's clear enough, strong enough to understand the benefit or the value of parami. Just one word, a moment of understanding, so important. Deeper and deeper understand what is meant by Noble Truth, the Four Noble Truths, Ariya Satya Dhamma. It is Dhamma and it's Satya, but is it at level of Ariya Satya, realized the truth, not just understand the word of truth about it.
Yes, I think I understand what you mean, Ajahn, in terms of conventional thinking is about understanding the meaning of the word on a certain level, on a certain maybe logical or rational level. But I think you're pointing to thinking which actually somehow goes beyond the meaning of the conventional words, and gradually leads to understanding, but not that it's not enough just to understand that the Dharma appears to make sense or is logical, that it's on a much deeper level than that intellectually we gradually need to discover.
And Buddha taught for 45 years to let go any doubt. And it cannot be just one's own thought about anything without listening carefully to each word to understand deeper and better. And that's the way to let go. That it does not appear as it is, no matter in what life, when there's no understanding. How can there be the moment of understanding the absolute truth? What is there from the very beginning, at birth moment, see? In order to let go doubt about seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, the reality which does not have any shape and form. But it's there. Imagine, no shape, no form, no word, because what we take for the world is moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking about the nimitta of something. So understanding that how come the nimitta of arose or even address or whatever is there, just one thing. But in truth, so many moments before it can be known as a thing or something, see? Learning to understand the truth, to have firm confidence, to condition moment of awareness is there. Just like now, it is there with understanding that that is a reality only, not the other at all. And when it's sound, that is a reality, no other reality or anything at all. To understand the characteristic of what is there. Otherwise, not thinking of the truth, no attention, no attending to the characteristic which is seen. How can there be the letting go of moment of taking it for something, flowers or bed or whatever, instantly, continuously in a day, in life. The truth has to be the truth, firmly confidence of its truth, to understand moment when there is direct awareness with understanding. At that moment, no doubt about the characteristic of our reality, which is awareness. But what about the reality which experiences whatever is there? Every moment. No absence at all, but not known at all. And this is confidence of the truth, to understand that the truth is there right now, and without hearing, considering, how can it let go of something? So when it appears, it does not appear as something at all. So many something now, each moment. And when it's there, no something at all. It's a truth. And this is when hearing the teaching, consider it, what is true or not true. And the right understanding is there. And we call it panya, until it appears as what is there, as nama, a reality. No matter what appears, or are namas. But different ones, like when attachment appear, feeling appear, it's not that which experiences the object, see. And as it does not appear, yet it's something or I all the time. Even feeling which appears or whatever. That's why just the first vipassana yana cannot let go the idea of self, but it begin to understand the difference between pariyati, patipati, and pativeda. And understanding the truth that is so very little is moment of letting go, ignorance, which is so enormous, covering everything now, not to appear as it is.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
this is the moment of beginning to understand the virtues of Buddha. How great virtues, beyond expectation or imagination at all. Each word out of his understanding at moment of enlightenment. That's why after he had enlightened, he said that all dhammas are so very subtle, so very deep, but can be known stage by stage. And right understanding is so truthful. What stage is the understanding right now? So now there is sati at moment of understanding, who knows? But he thought about the different characteristics of each reality. There is sati right now. Everything is there now. To be studied, to be understood, to be known. And moment of direct awareness is different from moment without sati at level of directly aware of only a reality. Unexpectedly, anatta begins to develop on and on to let go the idea of self. So
Actually, Ajahn, I find when we talk about parami, we're actually talking about the realized perfect. In actual fact, it seems to be very valuable to understand how the perfection develops through a process of coming to know imperfection. That there are so many mistakes around what understanding is, what metta is, what dana is, and having some clarity around just how extensive that mistaken thinking is surprisingly helpful in in terms of the truth, well, an aspect of the truthfulness that you're pointing out. And I suppose it's about the difference between when kusala and akusala arises, but the way you describe it in the book on perfections gives that makes it a more concrete way of maybe noticing, paying attention to being misguided about thinking that there is matter, and in fact there is not. There is just a kind of a kind of a self-congratulation about, you know, doing something that seems to be kind or whatever. So yes, I might stop there, John, because I'm sure other people have got things to ask. But thank you very much. And it's good to be able to connect again.
To be on the path leading to more understanding of the truth, stage by stage, not go wrong, not by one's own thought. Study carefully of each word. For example, all dhammas. What does it mean? Now, every moment in life, see, all dhammas are anatta. But now, it does not appear as a reality arising and falling away, the way of anatta, no one there at all. That's why learn carefully about the truth of each word from the very beginning. Dhammas and all dhammas. What does it mean? And anatta, see, all dhammas are anatta. When there is the understanding of the truth of what is meant by Dhamma and all Dhammas, conditioned Dhammas, arise and fall away, is that true from the very beginning? That is the first round of Arya Satya, whether it's deep enough, the first round, to condition the second round, Kipchayana. The development has to conform with what is the truth. No one. That is great patience to understand it. Even what is there now is conditioned. Can it be known as it is? Not try to change it from ignorance to have some understanding of the truth that it's now arising and falling away. It's only the understanding of Dhamma first. And this is right understanding only with which understand. It's the secretly and subtly the path leading to let go the wrong understanding and ignorance only at moment of understanding. Better and clearer. Each round.
And just a final comment from me, Maeve, on your thread, which has been very interesting. It's really just a reminder that the development of the path here is about the understanding of whatever appears. And it's not necessary for that development to occur. It's not necessary to see the subtle imperfections, because those will be seen anyway as understanding develops. But if one thinks of it as principally just the understanding of what appears rather than particular emphasis on lessening the imperfections or seeing them in the first place, then I find that a helpful reminder myself, not to get led astray, not to get trapped into the focus being in the wrong direction. Thanks.
Thank you, Jonathan. I just mentioned the paramis because it's like having that other consideration about the, if you like, the imperfect version. I'm not saying that there is anything to be done about that, but that knowing that information can, I think, consolidate an understanding about just why it does take such a long time, and that so many conditions have to be present for that development. Yes, that's all. It's not so much a checklist, although it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, babe.
You know, the mind is up to all sorts of tricks. Thank you, Jonathan. And
I appreciate your interest and your comments. Very useful. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you for your support, your remarkable support over the last couple of weeks. But I'm sure you've heard enough about it.
No, I've enjoyed your participation and everyone's, actually. Yeah, it's been great.
Yes.
I have a topic to raise if no one else has any questions. Topics right now. I can wait if somebody else does. John.
Why don't you come in and someone else can come after you?
Thank you. John, during the discussions, I guess Saturday was for you, we were talking about Vitakka as we have today. And I know at the end you said something about what is the most important is to understand it, or to come to understand it now. That in all but 10 different moments, it is appearing. Well, it arises, and we don't, and in ignorance, we don't know that. We don't see it. But I'm just wondering, I think you're talking about considering what is occurring at each moment and why there can be, and without Vitakka, there won't be the thinking, which is kind of how the world revolves on thinking conventionally. Anyway, so I'm wondering if you can talk a bit about what you mean by that. And in addition, we were talking about sanya and Vitakka, and then accumulated tendencies were also raised. So that's a lot of words, I know. But can you say something about, the consideration of Vitakka?
That's why we have to learn just one reality at a time.
Mm-hmm.
For example, what is Vitakka? It's a reality. And what is Manasikara? our reality? Are they the same or different?
Different.
Can Vitakka consider anything?
No.
So Vitakka is only the reality which touches the object. It arises after seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, because seeing, hearing is so conditioned by akama.
Mhm.
Akama, just to see one moment only. Who knows? The citta before seeing cannot see. It's there, performing its function. And the citta after seeing cannot see either. It performs its function, see. But manasikara arises with each moment, arising with citta which experience the object. That's why how many cetasikas arising with a moment of citta all the time, no matter when and what. So understanding that characteristic of our reality, to begin to understand that what is there not known at all. That's why now is there the 7 cetasika universal arising with each moment, one by one, see. That's why there is the term manasikara, a reality which no matter what word we use, it's there, attend to the object, depending on what arises with it, at what level. That's why there is the word aramana, patipataka, manasikara for the cetasika, which perform its function of attending no matter what the object is. It arises with citta. It cannot experience the object clearly as citta or vitakka and so on, but it's there attending to the object. Even right now, hearing the word, it's that which attending to the sound, to the meaning of it, to consider it, and so on. That's why it's there all the time. And when it is moment of the first to realize, to experience the object which is not object of bhavanga, because at moment of birth, citta experiences an object. We don't talk about it yet. And the next moment is conditioned by the same karma, experience the same object, unknown object. But they're seeing right now. Before seeing, there's no seeing. And then a moment of citta, just avachara, adverting to that which is there, impinge on the senses and so on. That is the viti, patipataka, manasikara. It's the manasikara which attend to the object which impinge on the eye base and so on. So that is viti, the beginning of the process. If it does not arise, if it does not attend with that citta, they can never be experiencing other object at all. That's why it is the viti citta which attend to the object which impinge on the 5 bases. That is panchatavaravachana citta. And that which has been accumulated from moment to moment right now, ignorance and attachment to the being, so on, ready to ooze. But it has to be moment after Bodhapana. That's why when the Bodhapana has fallen away, it's there, Javana. So it is Javana Patipataka. Without that citta, which is the Javana Patipataka, it makes way for Javana to be ready to come out, to ooze. Without that moment of citta, whatever is there cannot experience the object with what it has been accumulated, ready to be attachment or aversion. So that is Javana Patipataka, Manasikara. That's why there are 3 kinds of manasikara. One is Cetasika arising with each citta, attending to the characteristic of the object. No matter it's heard about the Dhamma or whatever experienced, it's there. Aramana, Patipataka, Manasikara, but the moment of experiencing the object, adverting to that, it is the first Viti Citta. So it is Viti Patipataka Manasikara. If it hasn't arisen, they cannot be seeing, hearing, so on. And the other one is Chavana Patipataka, which is the Manodvara Vachana Citta, is the Chavana Patipataka Manasikara. It has to make way for whatever has been accumulated, no matter through sense thought or mind or performing different function. When it's the function of the sense thought, it is not the beginning of the mind or the vara to experience the object, but it performs the function. It performs the function of Votapana, make way for Javana to arise, no matter what doorway. So that is Manotavara Vachana, is Chavana Patipataka Manasikara. So when we heard about the three words, Aramana, Patipataka, Manasikara, it is Cetasika. But Viti Patipataka Manasikara, it is Pancha Tawara Vachana. And when it is Chavana Patipataka Manasikara, it has to be Manotavara Vachana because it has to function. But what function is more? Manodvara Vachana is more. That's why even we use the word Bodhapana, it is a citta, which it's the first moment of mind or process, but it arises and then fall away. It makes way for Javana, no matter what we teach it through mind or sense. So no one is the Cetasika, which is Manasikara. That's why there is the word wise or unwise, Manasikara. Now, no one, a little more understanding of the details of the reality can condition a little more, letting go doubt about the truth is there as it is, not appear as it is, but appears as the citta, which can be the object of understanding, has to be only through six doorway, one at a time. No matter is it Manasikara or Vitaka, does it appear now? So what appears has to be only what is there through one of the six doorways. Even is there like Bhavanka before and after the process, not known. So what considered as Dhammas, not anyone. It has to be Cetasikas, and which Cetasika, which perform the Manasikara, attending to the characteristic of a reality, which is there experienced by the chief, the citta. It's there now at moment of hearing. And we use the word considering. We don't talk about phassa or vitaka or feeling or cetana. Just that now, which attend to the objects.
I'm thinking, attend to the object.
Many Cetasikas and Citta. See, is there no Vitaka at moment of thinking? Is there Manasikara because it has to attend to the characteristic of the reality, which is the object of thinking.
When we talk, Sarah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, to Maeve and anyone else, would you like me to give you a simple summary in English? Because of a lot of terms and a lot of details. And I know that sometimes the Pali is difficult.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay.
That would-
So just in brief, we know that Manasikara, translated usually as attention, is a cetasika that arises with every citta in life. Even at the moment of seeing, the Manasikara attends to the object. Usually when wise or unwise Manasikara is referred to, yoniso or ayoniso Manasikara, it's usually these that are often referred to, referring to wise or unwise attention at moments of kusala or akusala. So if Ajahn mentions attending to the object with understanding, she's actually referring to wise attention, yoniso manasikara, that arises with the kusala cittas and at moments of metta or moments of understanding. So if attending to the object is referred to, it's implied it's the wise attention, but actually unwise attention arises like now with attachment or any unwholesome cittas. And she mentioned there are three kinds of manasikara referred to in the text. The first one refers to this cetasika, the cetasika which attends to the object and either in a wise or an unwise way. So moments of kusala or akusala, the manasikara referred to is the cetasika. The second and third ones she's referring to are actually cittas that are referred to. So the second one was referring to the first citta in the sense door process, the pancha dwara vajjana citta, the 5 sense door adverting consciousness. So before moments of seeing and hearing and so on, the first citta arising in the viti process is this citta. And this is referred to as the second kind of manasikara, which has to arise in order for the other cittas in the sense door process to follow, and which is a condition for the other cittas that arise in the process in a kusala or akusala way with wise or unwise attention. And the third one also refers to a citta, and it refers to the citta that arises immediately before the javana cittas, the kusala or akusala cittas. And this is the manasika, this is the adverting consciousness, that arises before the manodwara vajjana citta that arises in the mind door before the kusala or akusala citta, which makes way for those kusala or akusala cittas to follow. And it's exactly the same kind of citta that arises in the sense door processes before the kusala or akusala cittas that follow and makes way for them like a gateway. But in the sense door process, it's called Votapanna. It has a different name because it has a different function. It's making way for the kusala or akusala cittas to follow in the sense door process. So it's exactly the same kind of citta, but it has a different name, a different function. One is in the sense door process, one is in the mind door process. And it is this citta, which is the third kind of manasikara referred to, makes way for the kusala or akusala cittas to follow with wise or unwise attention. So that was basically it in brief. And now I think Jan is talking more about the attending to the object, the first meaning at each moment in life, but in particular when she is encouraging attending to the object, it is the wise attending with panya that is being referred to.
That's the Cetasika. Yeah.
The Cetasika, yes.
I'm wondering about the word attending. We talk about attending. We've talked about vitaka, touching, attending. I find it a word that I don't quite know how to think about that. Attending.
What
You know,
about
it arises with, but I'm sorry, Ajahn.
is it attention? Beneath
Yes.
much attention.
Yes, attention to the object.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. I don't know why it escaped me, but thank you. Yes, attention to the object.
Because the manasikara is the attention, the wise or unwise attention, or the attention at each moment, the cetasika. And so its function, it is attention, but its function is to attend. But usually as soon as people hear the word attend to, there is the idea of I attending to.
Right.
Like if Ajahn says, is there any attention to visible object now? So quickly there's an idea of doing something or attending to it. But
Right,
actually
attending,
it's just a
attention,
conditioned Dhamma, no one that can attend. And,
right.
and by mentioning it's at each moment, it shows how anatta it is. Nothing to be done.
Thank you. This is helpful. So when
And
we
I think just to add one thing briefly, and I think the other day we said not contact, because that's the function of passa, but striking the object is sometimes used for vitaka.
yes, I've heard that before too. And Ajah's description was a number of years ago, but passa being just a little contact, each one more firmly in contact, not passa. Contact is a light touch. What am I thinking about? Vitaka is a heavier, a firmer touch. When we speak of touching, there's degrees of touching, I guess.
It's all figurative anyway, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Actually.
It all is.
I mean,
yes.
Is vitaka going to be seen as such? Who knows? Like Ajahn often says, passa, contact is never going to be known. So even though vitaka is one of the factors of the Eightfold Path, whether that means that it does get to be directly known at some point, I don't know. But the myriad functions that these Cetasikas have in a moment, a single moment of consciousness, is just really beyond comprehension, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I remember at the time that analogy was helpful, but yes, it's much more subtle than that. The Jita, the Mano Varavajana, which is sort of, I think, as Sarah was describing, sort of like the gateway to the Javana process, and that's where there was some reference to accumulations with regard to this the other day, and that's where the accumulations would become apparent as to whether the jitas are going to be Javana jitas or kusala or akusala, or which accumulations predominate. I guess that's the natural decisive support condition. I'm going way off the track here, I know.
The aramana is there and the experiencing is there.
Yes.
If there's no contact, can it experience that object?
No, for sure.
One function of our reality, Cetasika, Phassa Cetasika, just that.
Yes.
The experience is what object because of satta, because of phassa. See, is that right?
Yes.
And function is just phassa. That's all. And the feeling perform its function, and the other cetasika arising together perform that function. They do not know each other at all. Just
Right.
perform the function arising together, experience the same object by different function. So the function of manasikara is not the function of phassa. It's not a function of feeling. See, that's why we learn about what can be known has to be through one of the 6 doorways. That's why even it's known, it is known as nimitta at moment of seeing. The citta before and citta after must be there, but they do not appear. So what appear even right now from moment to moment is only seeing. The nimitta begin to understand. Why is nimitta? Because what is seen is by phassa and so on. We learn to understand the way it is little by little, one citta at a time. Clearer and more details about it. In order to, at moment of understanding, it let go doubt, little by little. But as it does not appear yet, doubt has to be there. Until the moment of sotapatimaka, no doubt about realities, no matter it is what, it is that which experiences the object. That's why it depends not on anyone, but by conditions to have such and such object by phassa.
Yes. Yes, thank you. That's it's all clearer every time we go through this.
A little more confidence of no one, little by little,
Yes.
until it is moment of direct awareness with understanding of what is now appearing, beginning to be as we have learned about it and have confidence of it, that even hardness is now appearing by way of nimitta, because the arising and falling away of hardness so very rapidly. Whatever appears cannot appear as just one, but appears by way of nimitta. And begins to understand what is meant by wise considering a reality, attend to what is there as it heard. Without it, it's only phassa gone.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that thought, please? No, it's okay. I will re-listen to it later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the point, Anne, is that there can only be the attending to what appears now, because
Right.
what occurred a moment ago is gone. What hasn't come. So it's only what appears now, visible object, hardness, whatever appears. If the hardness doesn't appear, there can't be attending to it. And whatever it is, it's just for a moment and then gone.
So momentary, isn't it?
Yes.
These moments become smaller and smaller.
Yeah. And at those moments of wise attending, no being lost in the stories of this or that drama, Maeve, but it is just for a moment.
Right.
It's like a little bit of sanity and understanding for a moment, and then it's gone too. Whatever it is gone instantly.
A reprieve. Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, and Sarah.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ